Hi all, I am Abhinav Nambudiri. I am here to present a few slides on the topic fingerprint recognition system. As you all know, it is an interesting topic, so we can move to the presentation. So in this presentation, I am dealing with the topics. First, I am going to just give a general introduction about fingerprints. Second, only I am giving what is a fingerprint recognition system, or a general introduction to what is a fingerprint recognition system. Then I will detailedly explain the process of fingerprint recognition system, how image is saved or how image is identified by the sensor, and how it is detecting each fingerprint separately, and so on. And then we move to the main advantages or the key points of a fingerprint recognition system, and then we move to the disadvantages or the drawbacks of a fingerprint recognition system, and then we can simply go to the conclusion and we can show our presentation. So shall we start? Yes. So I am moving to my first slide, and it is introduction. As you all know about fingerprints, we all human beings are having a fingerprint, and it is unique to everyone. And a fingerprint is a impression that is left on the fingers of human beings. And fingerprint is a crucial case, and each one is having a unique fingerprint. So fingerprints are mainly used for crime sensing and other important forensic science departments. So in order to see the fingerprint, or if we have to what appear the presence of a fingerprint, just put our fingers on a glass containing moisture content, and when we take off our hands, we can see our impressions of fingers on the glass. Or just simply put some ink or colors in our fingers and just place our fingers in a white paper, we can see the pattern of our fingerprints get impressed in the paper, and by this always we can identify our fingerprints. And identify fingerprints, we are having 10 fingers, and each finger is having unique fingerprints, and by this way all human beings is having unique fingerprints. For official purpose, we are generally using right arm thumb fingerprint as our identity. So this all is a general introduction about what is fingerprints. Okay, now we can move to the next slide. Next is fingerprint recognition system. In this slide, we deal with a general introduction about what is a fingerprint recognition system. As I said, that fingerprint is unique, so it can be used as a generally an identification system for each human being, and a branch of biometrics is generally dealing with fingerprints. And because of its uniqueness over time, the fingerprint has now become an essential security parts or an advancements in a computer capability or a computer systems. And and I said that we are having 10 fingers, so we have a unique fingerprints and all of that, so it can be used in multiple times for security purposes and so on. And we are using fingerprint as a official thing from 19th century, when a scientist named Sir Francis Galton identified that each fingerprint is having each human is having a unique fingerprint, and this fingerprint can be used for identification purpose. Yes, we can move to the next slide. And thus he formed a unique science or a branch of science for studying and identification of fingerprints, and in past it will be just keep on developing. And nowadays we are using fingerprints for more autonomous or automated fingerprint technology has developed, and new technologies has developed, so the for easy recognition and smooth flowing of fingerprint system. The fingerprints are usually dark lines that represent high bond position on first skin value between ridges. And as I mentioned that each fingerprint is having a unique pattern, and the fingerprint recognition system just recognizes and saves that particular pattern and works on it. So the fingerprint recognition is based primarily on the motion and the location and the direction of ridges ending the samples on the responses. So this is a general introduction about fingerprint recognition system. Yes, now we can move in detail and move to a next slide. The next slide is fingerprint recognition system. In this slides we can deeply learn about the how fingerprint recognition system works, and as I mentioned above, the fingerprint is unique, so it is widely used in many applications, and it has many applications and become popular as the time is going. Initially, firstly, in a fingerprint recognition system, the primary process is that to save a particular fingerprint. So for that, initially the user had to input the basic informations or the personal informations of him to the system, so that it can be saved and move to the next process of saving the fingerprints. So the next thing or the next process is that he had to save his fingerprints to the system, and this fingerprint and personal data is saved as a specific algorithm, and so that it is saved in the system for all the time. And now if once it is saved, the process is so simple, and he don't even have to just add these passwords or other patterns like that. He just simply had to put his finger on the fingerprint sensor, and it senses, and if it is detect as the correct pattern that is saved, then it will simply unlock and allow the user to log into the system. And it is a simple process. Yes, now we can move to the next slide. Yes, this is a image just showing the process of fingerprint recognition system, and the user to input user ID to the database to save, and use magnetic cards to detect or to save the image. Now the sensor has a measurement, and finally it will identify the sensor and move to the system database. Yes, now we can move to the next slide. Yes, now this is a slide which deals with or the step of recognition image, or how a fingerprint recognizer or a scanner identifies a fingerprint, saves it and detects it. And the first or primary step is that it is the capture of image. Firstly, when our finger is put on the scanner for scanning, it will first primarily took a picture of our fingerprint. If this picture is blurred, then it will give error, so we have to put our finger correctly so that a smooth or an accurate picture of our fingerprint is taken or is consumed by the sensor. Now the primary step is that just capturing the image. Now move to the second step. It is pre-processing, and pre-processing is the second main important step. And in this step, it will remove all the damage appear in the area of the fingerprints, and it saves a particular algorithm for each fingerprint. So each fingerprint is having a particular pattern, so it will dig out the algorithm of that fingerprint to it, and just saves that algorithm. And the third part is that it is the identification part, and if a pre-fingerprint is just saved in the system on our next process, it is feature identification, and it means that it will just simply cross-check all fingerprint patterns to the mainly saved pattern, and it is just a primary checking of checking. And we can move to the next slide, and it is the fourth and important step. It is pattern recognition, and this steps is the basic step of a fingerprint recognition system. And in this system or in this step, it will just it will just capture the pattern or and cross check it with the already saved item, or in if we are in the saving process, it will capture the pattern and save it. And if we want to unlock or to check the saved pattern is correct with this particular fingerprint, it will cross check it. So in the first process, it is mainly contained of two processes. First one is decision dynamics, and in this step the scanner will just capture the texture, area and length of a fingerprint. And in second part, that is structural, it will identify the specific pattern of a fingerprint. As I mentioned that each fingerprint is having a unique pattern. So if we are saving the fingerprint, it will capture the pattern and save it as a particular name. And in the cross-checking matter, if we put our fingerprints on the scanner, it will cross-check the pattern of our new fingerprint. It will match with the previously saved one. If it matches, then it unlocks, or else it will just give error fingerprint message. So this way it works. So this is the primary work of a fingerprint recognition system. First one is capture the image, then the image will be converted into algorithm, then it will be just simply checked, and then the detail checking comes. And in this process, the first one, the length and other things of the fingerprint is cross checked, and the pattern is checked. If this all matches, it will unlock. So this is the process of fingerprint recognition system, and we can move to the next slide. Next slide is advantages. As I mentioned, the fingerprint recognition system is latest technology, so it has many advantages. The primary advantage is the security wise. So security wise advantage means that if the in earlier times we use patterns and passwords, and if it is disclosed, then it will be disclosed to all. But in the case of fingerprint, it is having a unique pattern and it is harder to fake. So the fingerprint is having a much security much privilege in the security. Second one is easy to use, and it means that in earlier times you had to type the full password or enter the full pattern to unlock the systems. As fingerprint recognition system has newly connected, we just have to put our fingers on the sensor and scan it and unlocks. It is a simple way, so it is easy to use. This is non-transferable. It means that in the case of mobile phones, earlier times we are having patterns of password, and once it is shared to our friends, and if they came to know about our passwords, then they can easily access our phone by just putting that passwords. But in the case of the fingerprint system, they can only access our phone without permission or by taking our fingers. So it is safe for us, and we can easily just give our phones to our friends so that they cannot open it. It can be opened only we are using our fingerprints. Next is accountability, and the accountability means that it will save more time in bugs. And in earlier times, the workers have to just type all full passwords. If one digit is wrong, then he have to re-enter this whole passwords. Now it all become fingerprint recognized, and just the worker has to put his fingers, scan it, and then he can easily log into his system. So this will make more time valuable for workers to do that work. So it is very time consuming. Next is cost efficient. On nowadays, the fingerprint is having a cheaper rate, because we only need a scanner to scan our fingerprint. So the security is high and the cost is low, so it is more preferred. So these are the advantages. Advantages are security wise, it is easy to use, it is not transferable, it is accountable, and it is cost efficient. Now we can move to the disadvantages. As there are many advantages, the fingerprint recognition system also has some disadvantages. First one is that if or the fingerprint scanner does not take into consideration when a person is physically changes. So if we are having a particular fingerprint is scanned, and that person is having just a little cut on that fingerprint and then scan it, it will not be checked because it will not match with the previously saved one. So it means that the exact fingerprint had to be learned and little cut or damage in our fingerprint does not match with it, so we can do not unlock that thing. So second one is that the using a fingerprint scanner can lead to a failed rejections. It means that if we are not properly scanning our finger to save the fingerprints, it will just save what the impression is come down the scanner. So we have to place our finger exactly like that, and like that particular position, so that the fingerprint matches. If it is little bit tilted, then it will not recognize our fingerprint as correct one. Now next one is use of a fingerprint scanner can lead to false acceptance. It also means that if we have saved a particular fingerprint and if we are just placing our fingers a little bit tilt on the fingerprint sensor, it will not detect it as the correct one. So we have to just place our fingers right on that. Second one is that it's complex structure. It means that if a fingerprint sensor is having a complex structure inside, so if you are having any damage in the fingerprint system, it is very difficult to repair it. We only have to replace it. So the repair part is much harder. Now next disadvantage is that long time query for the workers. This means that in earlier times, a company having 100 workers, they are given a particular password, and the workers had to just only type that password to unlock it. And nowadays the fingerprint had came, and each 100, if we are having 100 or 150 workers, all their fingerprint is saved in a system. And if a worker put his fingers on the sensor, then the system entirely have to check all these 150 workers fingerprint if there is any matching found. So it is time consuming, and it will take more time in a very high or very high job rated company. So it is not applicable in all cases, but in some case it will be less or more long query of workers waiting to enroll large companies. So these are the main disadvantages of fingerprint recognition system. So we came to the conclusion part of our slide, and from this presentation we can just simply conclude that the fingerprint recognition system is a latest technology, and it is still in this development structure, but it is more secured and unique, as fingerprint is unique to all. So in our India, the government had made fingerprint in Aadhaar cards, and the fingerprint is made as a unique identity of a human being. It means that how fingerprint is important to one's identity. And in our defense cases also, in earlier case, the terrorist is just hacking our systems so that our top secret security missions will be just failed. Nowadays the fingerprint had came, and it is difficult to duplicate, so the hacking of these military bases had become less, and this fingerprint had made a great revolution in defense field, and so on. And as the cost of this fingerprint scanner is less and it is more easy to use, its usage become most common. And if you are having any systems or mobile phones, even if a small thing we take, like our phones, they are having fingerprint sensors because it is much easier to use. As we said, a coin is having a head and a tail. The fingerprint also has advantages and disadvantages. Everything has so on, but the advantage of the fingerprint system is greater than the disadvantage, or the advantage overtake the disadvantage. So from this all slides, we can conclude that fingerprint sensor system is a great innovation to our technology, and it can be and it will make human beings life more easier. So thank you for being a good listener to this presentation, and I'm concluding. Thank you.